Hello, fellow board gamers. This is Marcel, your Lord of the Board Games, and you might wonder, as I usually produce and publish my videos in German, this is because I am German and my English is not that good, so I beg your pardon just at the beginning for not pronouncing every word correctly or probably for searching for some words. But I was lucky at Spiel Essen, the fair, from a week ago to receive this demo box of Dante Invasion of Hell from CGS Creative Games Studio. And I did publish a very first impression video of this game where I showed the material, I spoke about the mechanics, I tried to give the German audience a general flow of the game, and I said what I liked about the game and what I did like. And as a lot of you do not speak German, I try to do it in English, but again, I beg your pardon for not speaking English so properly. So, before I start, why is it a very first impression? This is, and I will remove the box now to have some space here with my hands, a very first impression because I did only play 5 games up to now of the game, and I'm not ready for a full preview, but I can give you a first glance at the mechanics. And also the rule book is work in progress, so everything is changing, the mechanics, the balancing, the cards and the abilities of the hero, so a lot of it can change, but I will try to tell you as much as I can. So stay tuned as we are about to start. Have some fun. And here we have it, the confrontation game board in the middle of the table with all its assets and miniatures, surrounded by the character boards, all the cards. Let's first talk about the materials a bit. I will not talk about the setup, as I told you, I will do that in a future video, but I need to address some items, some subjects, some parts of the table before I can generate some understanding for the flow of the game. So, of course, we have these miniatures which look absolutely gorgeous. For prototype miniatures, this is the boss Minos we are battling. And we see another big miniature. Her name is Pacify. It is, or she is, Minos' wife. She might appear in the boss encounter here, which has happened. What you see is a table of our game. At the end of the game, we lost the game, but I modified some settings so that I can show you something. Of course, we see the 4 champions. This is the outlaw. This is the devotee, some kind of paladina. Here we have the artist, who is an assassin. And here on the boss card, you see the mercenary. So the boss card is here, which contains the damage points needed to inflict a wound on Minos. The throne, here is the throne, and of course Pacify. Some special abilities of it, but let's switch back to the board. You see there are 3-dimensional elements such as pillars, the throne, or these tableaus. They are all very important. It is not just so that they look nice on the board. It is very important because there are certain skills and situations that require certain levels. And even the boss cards do address the different heights. Here on the boss board, you always see the fierceness tracks. The leftmost character is the fiercest. This is the character bosses oftenly attack most. Then, of course, here is the boss card we talked about. And here I talked about confrontation. This is the confrontation objective of King Midas. Midas. Oh, what's his name? It's Minos. I'm a bit excited now. So there is, of course, an exploration phase, which I'm not showing you today. I'm showing you just a glimpse of the confrontation phase. And here you see the objective is to defeat King Minos. There is a second objective. As soon as she appears, Pacify, you can also kill her. You will lose the game as soon as one of the champion has 3 of these wound cards on your tableau, which has room for 3 of these maneuver cards. You see them here. And if there is no more space for the maneuver cards, because of too many wounds, then the game ends in failure. You also see these finding cards. Finding cards might be treasures that can help you, such as the Essence of Yore, where you can discard this card to receive a recall and just pick a maneuver card back to your hand. I will talk about the mechanisms of the game in a few minutes. Here is the wound deck. You see one of the wounds here, two of the wounds there. This is the sins deck. It's very important. And this is a core element of the game where you see the malefactor, meaning the boss cards. Here for King Minos, for the throne room. Yeah, you heard it correctly. The room itself feels a bit like a boss. And of course, Parsify. How they work, I will explain in a few minutes. Now, let's take a look at the characters. We do need to play 4 characters, as every character is very important for gaming. And let's have a look at her, the devotee. Here you see that she starts with 6 health points. Let's just adjust it to here. This is your health point level, which you do use not only for tracking your health, but also for undertaking basic actions such as climbing, jumping and moving, opening arcs like this one to get some findings. Of course, every character gets a profile here with his passive skills, like the devotee has martyrdom or altruism. The outlaw uses guerrilla tactics and he can slide. We will just look at these two as they are too far to talk about them every time. Then you have the slots for weapons, findings, and so on. And of course, you have in total these 3 slots for the maneuver cards. When you begin a game, all of these slots are locked with these face-down wound cards, which you will remove after every turn. And so you will be more and more flexible as you will reveal more of these maneuver slots. Okay, did I miss anything? Of course, the dice. Yeah, it is a dice chucking game. At least the fighting aspect contains these 6-sided custom dice, where you see 2 of these failure signs. They do look similar to the Dante box cover. And you see these 2 hits, and 3 times you see 1 hits. We will use them in a few minutes. So how does a game turn work? You always begin with a cleanup step, and I can show it to you as we are here in the middle of a scenario. And the first thing is you discard every maneuver card on your character board. So like I did, and please just don't think about these now. I will just put this card away. Do not mind the mercenary for now. The second thing is you draw your hand up to 4, so that you have 4 cards on your hand. If this is your hand here for the outlaw, you just have to draw a 4th card. Now you have a hand of 4, and you see you just have 3 maneuver cards, and this is 1 sin card, which the outlaw achieved. I will show you how you get this card, and it will turn the number of flexibility, the actions down, because it's not a maneuver card. It's a wasted card. It's a card that just shortens your abilities to maneuver. So, and how do you get these bad sin cards? As soon as you appear to be not able to draw a maneuver card up to 4, you see the devotee has to draw 4 cards. Then you will need to shuffle your discard pile, but first you will take such a card, such a sin card. You will take a sin card, you will shuffle the discard pile, and you will draw so that you have 4 cards. And you see she has one of these bad sin cards now as well. And the last thing in the setup phase is you invigorate 3 health points like this. And I do it for her as well. And the mercenary, just forget about him. He is held by Minos for this example. And now the caravan phase starts, and this is the start in which the champions act. And one of the special things is that you do not alternate actions. For example, you will not start with the devotee or another champion, do your actions, and then you pass to the next players, but you all can act at the same time. Not exactly at the same time, because you just wait for a player to just finish and execute his move. But then you can always interact with what he did, interact with the situation that occurs. So let me just show you how it works. So you could, for example, say with the devotee, or the devotee player can say, I will join the fray. So I will play a maneuver card to one of these open slots. And this is how it works. First, you have to adjust the fierceness track by 1. So just put your character token once to the left. And then you just read the text. You or another champion that is up to 2 areas away may make an attack with a +3 dice bonus if possible. So you are another champion, so you can do it yourself, which probably might be a bit hard as she is in an area where there is no boss. These are the areas of the board, and every area contains of 4 of these spaces where there can be champions or arcs, for example, and there is one center hex where the bosses do move. So as she is not able to act, and there is a certain mechanic which might be very exciting to use, she will now say, okay, another champion that is up to 2 areas away is the outlaw. You see, he is 1 area away, he's here on that pillar. And now it triggers the altruism, because whenever you target another character, with that join the fray in this case, with an effect from one of your maneuvers, you gain faith 1. And this is a faith token, which I do now flip to 2. It's a maximum stack of 4, and it is used to heal characters. And at its best, when you do gather 4 of these, you can even discard a wound, which is very, very strong. Okay, now she said the outlaw can attack, and the outlaw will use his longbow, which has a range of 3, an attack of 3 dice. Then you have a special ability. Whenever you make an attack, you may take 1 damage to re-roll a die. I can show you this in a few seconds. And you will add to the 3 dice, the 3 dice from Join the Fray. Okay, now let me show you how the attack works. I can now attack probably King Minos, why not? With 3 dice of the bow and the Join the Fray. And I hope that you see my dice rolling now. Aha, you do see it. And this is the result of my dice throw, which is not bad, I think. Because I just rolled 1 of these bad helmets and 5 hits. And if I look at the boss board, you just need 4 hits to score a wound, which I did, as you see. And here is how it works. The boss, I will show you after the caravan phase, has these boss cards which he will execute as soon as he acts. But they are his life points as well. So I just discard the top card of the pile of Minos. If I had scored a second of these helmets, then, and I am pretty sure that we will see it in one of my next attacks, we would see a counterattack. For now, it does not counterattack. And now game just goes on. I could go on with my devotee, but I could also just switch to another player. Probably I can do the following. I can play these ambush cards. So put it here in one of these free slots. And I can set up a trap in an area up to 2 areas away. Probably I can here just put it here. You will ever place the traps in the central hex. I experienced it that the boss runs around here on the straight line, so I will just place it here. And here you see, you always work from top to bottom. The next range attack you make this turn receives a +2 dice bonus. So let's keep that in mind. Okay. So what do we do now? We can also have a look at the rogue here, for example, which is called artist in that game. So the cards are not that good, but I can show you one thing. Here you see that sin card, and I said the sin card is kind of waste and it blocks your flexibility, and you have a double-sided use. Here's the resist. You can resist the sin. There you downcrease your fierceness track, and to resist the sin you must discard one of these maneuver cards from your hand. And at the beginning of the malefactor's turn during this round, remove the sin from your champion board. So I could play it here, and just discard one of these cards. But I can also keep it. And I keep it for special attacks of the boss, for example. I think discarding or doing that this early in the Caravan phase is not that smart. So let's just look if the outlaw or here the devotee can act. And I think he can act. And now I show you how it works with this basic actions. Because you see that he can use guerrilla tactics. Ranged attacks you make receive a +2 dice bonus as long as you are at least 2 areas away from where you made your last ranged attack. And I did do my ranged attack from here. So let's see how it works. I will now use 1 health point to just jump here. This is 1 movement, 1 jump. And now I will spend 1 to just open that arc, which will be discarded, and I get a finding. So I can show you, it's a burning tear. As a free action, discard this card to assume the position of the fiercest player, which I am not. As you see, it's the devotee. For each position your marker has raised, the next attack you make this turn receives a +2 dice bonus. Oh, it's not that bad. So I could climb here on the ladder and could make a better shot. It's not a worse idea. But let's continue now. I will spend another of these cubes, and I will move 1. And as you see, the passive ability is slide. Whenever you take the basic action, move 1. You can move an additional area or avoid falling damage. So I can go here. I can just do it. So why not? I will spend another cube and just do the next looting here, which is a hydraulic hook. As a free action, discard this card to advance to a space that is in an area that is not on the ground level and give precision to the next attack you make from this turn if you make it from that space. Okay, again, as a free action, discard this card to advance to a space that is in an area that is not on the ground level. For example, here to the pillar, and give precision to the next attack you make from this turn if you make it from that space. I discard that card, put it here, and now I can show you precision. But let me count. 3 plus 2 is 5. 7. I think 8. Okay. As I know the game a bit, I will not play this really nice card, but I will now execute a clear shot. So, you see, I am 1, 2, you always count orthogonally, no diagonally. I am 2 spaces away, I can be 3 spaces away, and I will now attack with a clear shot, King Minos. I will advance 1 of the fierceness level, you see it here, and I will execute the shot with 3. Plus 1 is 4, plus, you remember, 4 plus 2 for the ambush is 6. And as I moved from here, at least 2 areas, it's 8 dice. So now, normally, I do collect 8 of these dice, and I would throw them, but you remember the hydraulic hook, which gave me precision for the next attack, and precision assumes that you just do not roll anything else but hits. So this is very, very good. And in this situation, you would discard 2 of the health cards as you score 2 wounds. Whoa, that's really great, I think. Okay, what has still not happened is nobody of the enemies did attack. So I will try to show you how that works. How that works. Okay. Probably that is not the coolest action, but I will just show it to you. I will use my last of the maneuver cards with a multiple shot. Adjust the fierceness level, which is not useful, is not necessary as I'm still on top. You make a split ranged attack with a +1 die bonus, +1 die. Here is an explanation. A split attack targets 2 different targets that are within range. Make a single attack roll and consider it for the 2 targets. In case of counterattacks, only one of your choice performs it. Okay, well, why not? Why not? So I can split the attack. Let me count. Before I use it, I have to move. Definitely, I have to move 2 spaces. 1, to use the guerrilla tactics, you remember, yeah? The outlaw always wants to move, and you see range is okay. Now, the multiple shot. I have 3 dice +2 for the guerrilla tactics +1. Now I do not have precision, so I just have to roll it. And split attack targets 2 characters if I'm in range. You see I'm in range of Minos, but she is out of range, so everything will go on him. So now I have an interesting result. I have these 3 fails, and now I can use the short bow if I like. I can take 1 damage for a reroll, which I think is not the best idea, because I scored 5 hits. 5 hits, that is a wound. I will not make it up to 8, so I will not reroll anything, but always 2 of them is a counterattack. So as you experienced before, I will discard that card, but now, before I discard it, I have to flip it, and there is the counterattack of Minos, which tumbles. Move 2, distancing from the attacking champion. So this is the attacking champion, so he moves 2, he tumbles. And then he restores 1. So restore means I will take the bottommost card, in this situation it's an Arcana card, and places it down. Then I discard this card, and that's it. So, still nothing severe happened, but you see, it's always interconnected here. Now I can play this Punish the Wicked card, which is restricted. Let me first pay the fierceness cost, which I call it. And it is restricted. This maneuver can only target a malefactor that has counterattacked. And of course, this was a counterattack. And now I make a ranged attack with a 3+ dice with precision. Oh, it's always precision. So no counterattack here. Once per turn, as a free action, you may take 2 damage to make a ranged weapon attack with a + dice. Okay, I will show you as much as possible. Punish the Wicked. You make a ranged attack with +3 dice with precision. So 3 + 3. This is 6. I could score a hit. I could probably score it on him, which would definitely be the best because we are focusing on this enemy. But I want to show you how it would work on her. She has 5 damage to achieve for a wound, so I can discard this top card here. I don't know why I placed them here. Why did I place them here? Probably because I wanted to show something in advance of the video. Okay, so, and now I saw that here with the Holy Sacrament, here you see once per turn as a free action, you may take 2 damage to make a ranged weapon attack with +3 dice bonus. So let me try to show you again how the counter attack can evolve. I will now target here King Minos with that Holy Sacrament. So it's 3 dice +3 dice if I am willing to get these 2 hits. So these are 6 dice. I will roll it. This is really, really worse. And I can do nothing about it, as you see. Oh, this is a really worse situation now. As you see, it's 4 of these symbols and not a single hit. So it's 2 counterattacks of Minos, 2. I will draw the topmost card, Brute Force, which is not discarded now. So I flip it. Move 3, approaching the closest champion at any range. She's the closest champion. He approaches me. If there are champions in the area, attack the fiercest one, dealing 3 damage. Here is just 1 champion, so 3 damage to her. And now the card is placed back. So placed back. And then a second attack is, a counter attack is resolved, which is the same card in this situation, as I did not do any damage. If I had done damage, this would be discarded and I would use the next card. So in this situation, he would stay where he is and repeat the attack, dealing 3 damage again. Okay, that's it. So we will now continue to play in our current phase, taking turns. Whenever it makes sense to take a turn. Here, the outlaw and the devotee could not play any more cards in this situation as the board is full. Of course, you can do the basic actions. Now, the artist could probably decide to place this sin card here. She has to pay and discard this card. As I told you, we do not talk about the mercenary, which in this situation is held. A very interesting mechanics, as Minas always uses hold heroes to use them as a club, strikes around. If he ever holds 2 heroes, he might clash them together. But for now, let's assume the champions agree that they would end the caravan phase. Then we would enter the malefactor phase. And in the malefactor phase, you have to go from left to right for Minos, the throne, and pacify. Let's talk about pacify in a few minutes, how she appeared. Normally, we have these cards here, where you see advance to the nearest area that has a pillar at any range. So he could move there. Throw a pillar that is in the area against the fiercest champion at any range, which is the devotee, dealing 6 damage to him. 6 damage, who is really strong. She could do nothing against it, even with her faith. She can do nothing. She would achieve a wound in this situation. If the champion suffered a wound, see, then they gain demoralized. Demoralized is probably definitely the opposite than inspired. So, and face the champion whose the pillar were thrown. But this is not the case in this situation. You would have to play the Arcana, the Sun. The Arcana comes into play by certain event cards. The Malefactor restores 1. Interesting. You take the bottom card, which is by chance a Malefactor card as well. And the Malefactor deals damage equal to 3 minus the number of areas away each champion is. Example, the Malefactor deals 3 damage to a champion in the same area where they are. The Malefactor deals 1 damage to a champion that is 2 areas away. Understand? Okay. So, he was positioned there. So, 3 damage to the devotee. Very, very bad. She would need to heal 2 times. So, 2 for the first phase. Then discard that. And now she gets 3 damage. Very important, because she will not want to achieve a wound. Then we have the outlaw, which is 1, 2, 3 spaces away. So 3 minus 3 is 0. And 1 damage to the assassin. And as King Minos is held. Oh, I would need to ask that. I never experienced that situation. I would assume that the mercenary gets 3 damage as well as, the sun. Yeah, the sun is in the same area. But probably Felipe and Mauro told me how it works better. So the card is not discarded, yeah. And we get to authority. Each champion standing on ground level gets 3 damage, which is her. Now she gets the wound. A wound is drawn and it is placed over here on this board. Yeah, here. And now the flexibility of the character has decreased. The artist gets 3 damage, as you see. And now we move to the second space. Minos restores 1 for each champion that is not on ground level, which is the mercenary and the outlaw. And you see the boss encounter in this situation would really reheat. And now she would act with a thunderbolt. So she would move 2, approaching the farthest champion at any range. This is the farthest. 1, 2. and face the least fierce champion at any range, which is the mercenary. It is held in this situation. Yeah, but I will just carry out what is written here. Launch a thunderbolt attacking each champion in straight line at any level, dealing 3 damage to each of them. Each of these champions discards the top 2 cards from the top of their maneuver decks, which would be here 3 damage and 3 damage here to her as well. Yeah, straight line, which would cause for another wound. And if she cannot prevent the wound, then the encounter would end in this example. If passive did not hit any champion, minus restores 1. But you see, this is how it works and how combat evolves. So let's now jump back in front of the camera where I tell you about my impression. So much for my very first impressions here of Dante Invasion of Hell. And now you are, of course, interested in my feedback of the very first impressions. And I always like to start with the theme, but please keep in mind that I am not an experienced player, as it's just 5 playthroughs. And of course, everything is work in progress. And this is a good point. Even the storybook here, the Chronicles of Book of Chronicles, is work in progress. And now let's talk about the theme. Dante Alighieri, the Invasion of Hell, climbing the 7 circles of hell, and this fantasy, this high fantasy. Oh, it's a grimdark fantasy theme with these nice artwork. This is exactly what I need. I am a sucker for dungeon crawlers, but of course, Dante is not a dungeon crawler. It's a boss battler, but the theme here is very, very strong. I feel it, and I really like it. What I showed you was an example of the confrontation phase. Dante is not only confrontation, it's also exploration, but I cannot talk about that now, as I did not experience it up to now. So let's talk about mechanics and gameplay. What I really, really appreciate is the cooperative aspect of the game. You saw that you do not alternate your turns and you do not have any kind of initiative track, but you act at the same time. Not exactly at the same time, as you have to wait mechanically wise for one player to carry out his action, but then you can jump right into the action, better said the reaction, because every second on the board something evolves and changes, and you can move and climb and open and you can maneuver, and the bosses also react with these counterattacks. And so it's very, very important to talk to your fellow players, to cooperate, and to see if you can manage a solution of the gameplay, the story that happens on the board. So this is a cooperative board game, a cooperative boss battler, which excels at the cooperative aspect of the game. I will return to this in a few seconds. The roles of the players, the champions, are very, very important. It's very meaningful what you do, and they have a very, very strong profile. Not only here with this passive abilities, every character has passive abilities, but also with the deck. It's a hand management system in its core, and it's very, very important that you understand your character, and now I'm resuming the talk a few seconds ago, that you do a nice table talk with your other players, because every champion is strong in one situation, but weaker in another. So the devotee, for example, is a very good healer, a supporter, while she's not very strong in doing damage. On the other hand, the outlaw is really, really strong when he keeps moving, but he has absolutely no chance to defend himself or to even heal himself. And on the other hand, the artist tries to go in the backyard of a character. I did not show it to you. You saw these areas with all these lines, and if you manage to get in the back cone of a boss, then you can backstab him if you are the artist, and you get 2 additional dice. So every character is special. It's very meaningful what you do, and I really, really like that. And as I talked about the cooperative aspect of the game, you're acting every time. You need to talk. And this results in that there is nearly no downtime at all. You are never waiting minutes for getting the turn. There is no turn token at all. You can act every single second. You could probably just not wait for another player to carry out the actions of his champion. You could also say, okay, while you do that maneuver, I will just move, or can climb the pillar, open the arc. Guess what? Yeah, and this is really great. I did never experience another dungeon crawler or even a boss battler where there was so less downtime, and I do appreciate that very much. This causes a battle which is always heated. Yeah, there is always action. There is no single situation where you think, oh, now it gets boring, I need to take my mobile phone, drink some coffee or something like that, because yeah, I repeat myself, there is no downtime. I also appreciate the boss mechanics, where you saw here are the boss cards, and you do use these boss cards. Not only there are multi-use cards for tracking the wounds of the boss, but you also use them for the activation of the boss, which I showed you. And in case there is a counterattack, you also use it here on the backside, which is very intelligent, I think, because you can anticipate the front of the card, which is meant from the designers. You shall know, you need to know what happens next, what he intends to do, but you do never know how he reacts with these counterattacks. And that is very intriguing, I think. I also showed you some of these Arcana cards, which come into play by certain event cards. And I forgot to show you these event cards. These are the event cards which started in the third slot of the game at the beginning of the scenario. One of them entered the Parsify, the wife of King Minos. And really, I like that. And to win, you have to deplete one of these stack of boss cards. Very, very good. The gameplay itself I like a lot, because I'm a sucker for hand management games, and it's not just a simply hand management mechanism where you have your cards and from time to time you discard your cards, and you as soon as you do not have any cards, you just redraw them. But I showed you the sin cards, and you don't want to have the sin cards, as they make you less flexible, as you do not have a lot of other maneuver cards when you have these sin cards. So you always think of how many of these maneuvers do you play. Probably you want to play as many maneuvers as you can for doing a lot of damage. But there are situations where you will want to save the maneuver cards, so you do not need to draw one of these sin cards, which I showed you in the cleanup phase. Very nice game. Also the mechanics with the character boards, where the wound cards take the same spots as the maneuver cards, and you can play maneuver cards over the wound cards. So there are these mechanics which work very, very nicely together, and I just simply adore it. Let's now talk about things people might not like, because there is nothing that I do not like. So I just try the guessing game which you might not like. So I will pick up the cards again. And this is a thing probably not everybody likes, because I said it a few minutes ago, these are the things that are known to every player. And there might be players that say, okay, why do they play? Why are they face up? Why does he show me what he is planning to do? I think this is really important, and if I think about boss battling computer games, you always see a boss preparing for, let's say, a strike or a charge, and this is here on the cards. And what you could say is that bosses do not react to what you as a player, as a champion, does, because as soon as you flip one of these counterattack cards, then you have to carry out the actions that are written here. But the action do not exactly respond to what you did as a champion. Okay, I did not miss any more intelligence of the bosses, but this is a thing that people might not like about the game. And there is a second aspect, it's the dice throwing. You saw that I had a lot of fun with throwing this dice, and it's a Ameritrash factor of the game, of course, and it adds a luck aspect to the game, which is, again, a thing what I like a lot. But there are people who dislike luck elements, and so they are warned by now, but it's again a thing that I like a lot. So this is my first impression. I hope you did understand me well. I might probably have mispronounced some words and did include some mistakes from time to time. I just could not find the correct words. For this, I beg your pardon again. But yeah, if you do have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment. Even if you liked what I said, leave me a comment. You know that the algorithm of YouTube does like that. And if you appreciate what I did, please leave me a thumb up. You can leave me a subscription and ring a bell if you do not want to miss any of my videos. So thank you for attending my video. See you the next time. Marcel, your Lord of the Board Games.